Beyond Food and Festivals, Teaching Culture with Depth and Purpose. I'm JJ Morgan. I am the conference coordinator here at Voces Digital. I do two things. I coordinate our big summer conference that happens in a different city every year, and it's all about CI teaching, 3-day conference. So it's packed in person. This year it was in Oklahoma. Next year it is slated to be in Cincinnati. So hope to see a lot of you there. I also am the conference coordinator for our presence at state, regional, and national conferences. So when you see myself or the team there, Chris and I have done the organizing to make that happen. Before that, I was a Spanish teacher for 10 years plus, and love to teach culture. The reason I became a Spanish teacher was because I fell in love with culture, and not just one particular region. I fell in love with learning about how everyone is different and the same all at the same time. So our agenda today is we're going to talk a little bit about what is culture and the various definitions of it and what ACTFL expects us to do with it, when and how to introduce culture to students, and maximizing cultural readings. So what is culture? This picture was taken last summer on a trip with one of my sons to New York City, and it's one entrances to Central Park, and it got me thinking about the importance of a park in a city. And then it got me thinking that that's culture, right? So definition wise, this is what Webster says culture is: the arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement regarded
let me
collectively.
interrupt real quick. Having some network issues, so you're freezing up a little bit. The audio is stuttering. So do you want to try just turning your camera off? That might free up a little bit of bandwidth.
Yes. Let's do that. There we go. Feel free, anyone, to interrupt with questions or anything at any time. It's fine. The second definition from Webster is the customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other. Did that help with the audio, by the way?
It did not. Should we take a break and have you try and restart your internet or something? Or
let's
are you maybe move a little closer?
I'm as close as you can get to my Wi-Fi.
Okay.
So let's take a quick pause, and I'll do some troubleshooting.
Okay.
Okay, go to the next slide. Okay, so we're going to talk about today what is culture, various definitions of culture, including what ACTFL tells us we should be doing with it, when to introduce culture to students, and how to maximize cultural readings. Okay, advance. So what is culture? This is a picture that I took last year at this time, and in New York City on a trip with my son. And we visited Central Park. And I got to thinking about culture during that trip, because New York City is so different than Indianapolis, Indiana. And it really got me thinking about what really is culture. So this is one of the entrances into Central Park. And as I walked around, I kind of thought of what encompasses what that is. So skip or advance. So according to Webster's dictionary, culture is the arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively or the customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group. So that's kind of really big words. Let's see what else we can come up with. Advance, please. So culture is the fifth skill, right, in the classroom. It's a set of abilities. It's not just a thing that you can see, but it's actually the ability to perceive, to understand, and to accept cultural relativity. And we accept cultural relativity by making those comparisons, like I was doing between Central Park and Indianapolis, Indiana. Advance, please. ACTFL's cultural comparison standard states that students demonstrate understanding of the nature of language and culture through comparisons of language and cultures being studied and their own. So advance, please. We do this with comparing practices, perspectives, and products. And ACTFL tells us that culture is inseparable from language, that there is something inherent in teaching language, that there's something inherent in it with culture. So it states that language and culture are fundamentally intertwined. You cannot truly teach one without the other. When students learn a language, they must also learn about practices, perspectives, and products of the cultures where the language is spoken. I think we all agree on this. The question is, how do we do it? Right? Okay, advance, please. So our goal becomes for students to be able to recognize that cultures have similarities and differences, explore how cultural perspectives influence behaviors and values, compare their own cultural norms and those of the target culture, and reflect on their own assumptions, thereby increasing cultural self-awareness. And what I tell my students is my ultimate goal for them is to realize that we're all the same. Even if we are all different, we're all the same. That deep down, all of us are looking for love and respect and appreciation of who we are, independently of anyone else. So my goal is really, really, really to teach all that sameness, because the differences are there. They're evident. You can see them, you can feel them, you can touch them. But getting at that sameness, yes, you will be able to see the elementary section when it's recorded, Maria. Okay, advance, please. So to get here, we've probably all seen the cultural iceberg. It's famous. We learn about it when we go to school to become a teacher. And if you take another track, you come across it at some point. And you teach about all these things below the surface. You teach about climate and geography and demographics and economics and media, education, ideologies, and religions. You have to incorporate all of that to get down to the core of perceptions, attitudes, beliefs, and values, right? So we can't just teach about the things that are observable. We have to go deep and we have to take it farther. Advance, please. So what does Central Park mean to New Yorkers? Is it just a place for shade? Maybe put in the chat, what do you think Central Park means? What would having a big park like Central Park in your area mean? An oasis, fresh air and trees, a place for trees and greens, community, a gathering spot, history, nature therapy. Oh yeah, a place to get away and refresh, family time, relief, play. Oh, such great ideas. A community space, a nice place to go through. It really is delightful to walk through. Freedom, an interruption in the path to the other side. Ooh, I love that, Tanner. That's beautiful. So Neil, click through. It's just going to be, it's random things are going to pop up. So recreation and relaxation, community and events, nature and wildlife, physical activity, mental health and well-being. Maria says exposing us to other types of people. Yes. Oh, go back one, Neil. Um, exposing us to other types of people. Exactly, because you will come across many, many, many different kinds of people in Central Park. A place for all to get together while enjoying nature and wilderness. Freedom, relax, a place to enjoy on weekend with family and friends. Yeah. So, okay, go ahead and advance, Neil. Well, when do I introduce culture to students? This is actually another picture from New York. We were walking around just looking for a place to eat lunch, and I saw this gorgeous fruit stand and had to take a picture of it. I don't have that. I don't have access to fruit stands like this in Indianapolis. We have farmers markets, but they don't set up along the street like this. They set up in maybe a parking lot or inside of a school. And so this was a way for me to get some more cultural comparison. Advance, please. So looking at the directory, and you get there in the new Voces platform by just when you are once you have entered one of your titles, it's just the 3 lines in a little box on the left hand side. So you click it, it pulls up everything in that textbook. And so you can scroll down and you can look at the Exploración Cultural. This is Voces por el Mundo 3, chapter 7, and it's about Mexico. Go ahead and advance, Neil. What you will, oh, go back. What you will see when you open up that Exploración Cultural isn't just one cultural reading or 2 or 3, it's a lot of cultural readings, and each one is going to come with a set of activities. So I'm going to highlight for you La Música de México con Jesse and Joy, because I know we just added music to our level 3 Voces por el Mundo. We added that last year. So I just want to show you what this kind of looks like. Okay, go ahead, Neil. So when you open it up, you see La Música de México con Jesse y Joy. And you have the option immediately to display all your inline hover translations. This is from the new platform. And you are given a starter, an introduction, an anticipatory set. I'm not coming up with the right word. So this one is 4 corners. So you're going to create and hang 4 signs one in each corner of your room. Me gusta, I like it. Me encanta, I love it. No me gusta, I don't like it. And no me gusta nada, I don't like it at all. Ask students to answer the questions in the slideshow by walking to the sign that shows how they feel about each item pictured. And so there's a slideshow that you can click through. ¿A ti te gustan los espaguetis con chocolate? Do you like spaghetti with chocolate? And some of these are kind of like, who would think to put chocolate with spaghetti? Nobody really. So you're hoping to get a reaction out of them. But the reason why I love the 4 corners is because no matter their age, students love to get up and move. And getting up and moving your body to an answer is so much safer than raising your hand and speaking, right? It's building that trust, it's building that community, and it's helping students see immediately who in their classroom is just like them and believes the same way that they do, and who has a different opinion. Okay, advance, please. Next comes a short biography about Jesse and Joy. And again, anywhere that you see the blue words are words that will be translated because we feel that these are out of bounds for this level um, of language, and we want to make sure students can read it without any help at all. So you have the short reading that you can do. Next slide, please. And then you have a follow-up activity and a lesson extension. So this one is true or false questions about um, what they just read in the bio. And again, this activity recommends that you read the questions out loud to students and that they answer by going to either one side of the room or the other. You assign one side of the room for true and the other side for false, and students can go and answer that way. An extension activity is listening, and that's after previewing the video. Have students listen to the song Chocolate by Jesse and Joy. Ask students to write down any words that they recognize for an extra challenge to see if students can use those words to write a complete sentence. Okay, so that's an extension. So this is just a little taste of what the music is like in Por el Mundo Tres. Next slide, please. There's my little pro tip. Always preview videos before showing in class. So I learned the hard way. That just because someone suggests a song for you to use in class doesn't mean it's going to be good in your context. It doesn't mean that your administration is going to approve that song. Now, we don't put anything in Voces for suggestions that's questionable, but we also don't know your teaching context. So you should always, always, always preview a video before you show it in class so that there are no surprises to you. Martha, yes, I do use whiteboards for this activity. You can do it any number of ways. They can stand up. They can, I've done yoga poses for true and false too, or yes and no. Do warrior 1 for true, warrior 2 for false, right? I've done whatever we're doing for TPR, run for true, or walk for false. You know, you just any which way that you want to do it is going to work. Okay, advance, please. So when do I introduce culture to students? That's a good question. There's no wrong time to do it. All the times are the right times to introduce culture to students. So if you'll click through, Neil, you can use culture to kick off a unit. You can use it in the middle of a unit. You can use it as the culminating lesson of a unit, as its own lesson, just independent of what you're doing in class. You can do it just because. Just because. I think there might be one more. Oh, no, okay. How do we maximize cultural readings? So this is a reading from Puentes, and it's about Coca-Cola. So if you'll click through. So in Unit 3, when we're talking about health, we have a cultural reading about Coca-Cola in Mexico. And version A is always going to be the easiest and the shortest. And so you allow students to read this, and then there are follow-up activities. Next slide. Then you have, also with it, sorry, you have an anticipatory set with an infographic. So you'll have instructions on how to use the infographic, or your anticipatory set might be something different. But the cultural readings, they're not just readings given to you, right? There are things to do with them. So go ahead and click to the next one. Martha says, if you are using Puentes, which is our middle school, can you add a section from Nuestra Historia into it? Yes, you can. And that is with the new editor. You can pull things into your title from other titles. So yeah, if you're at the middle school, you can pull things in from other titles into your chapter. I think we have a session on that. So version B then is a little bit longer. And this is unit 3, so they're not, and this is middle school, so it's not a super long section, but it introduces that there are differences between Coca-Cola in Mexico and Coca-Cola in the United States, right? So there's a comparison between our home. And then I don't know if you noticed, but in the new editor, there's the print story. But I mean, in the new view story. So you don't have to find it in the tools. It's just right there for you at all times. Click, please. And then we have the longer version. So there's 3 versions of the same reading, and this is just one cultural reading, right? And I don't know if you noticed, but there were other ones in that box. And so this is the longest and more detailed, and there are activities after each one, comprehension activities. So go ahead and click. So what I love about this particular one is that we have a first person account at the end, and it's in English for students to read. And it's by a woman named Yuri Takenaga, and she is telling about drinking and having Coca-Cola in her home in Mexico, where she lived for 42 years. So it's a first person narrative. It's a first person experience that students can compare their own lives to. Because when I was a kid, we always had Coca-Cola at our house too. In fact, we had an antique Coke machine that my dad bought at an auction, and we stocked it with Coca-Cola. I inherited that Coke machine, and I stocked it with water until my kids reached a certain age, because I didn't want them just reaching in there and getting Coke all the time. But you know, there's a lot of comparisons there that you can make with Coca-Cola. Jacqueline asks or says that she loves the print button. Do students also have that option? I don't have the, I don't think so. I think just teachers have that option to print. Can you chime in, Chris?
I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, Neil says yes, just teachers. For this cultural reading, Teresa says, we did a soda March Madness style bracket, and the students voted on their favorite soda. Root beer consistently won. Oh, I love that idea. That's a great idea. Thanks for sharing, Teresa. Okay, Neil, go ahead. So, like I said, this is just one of 3 short cultural articles leading into a broader lesson, a much longer reading that incorporates the same vocabulary that you've been using and building. On the longer reading is about Frida Kahlo. So there's probably more culture in each title than you are ever going to be able to use. So click, please. But we can take it one step further. I did a quick Google search, and I'm gonna grab that link and put it in the notes here for you. Here it is. And it's in English, and it's about Coca-Cola and the rights and water rights in Mexico, which are a big issue right now. So you can take that cultural reading and you can go even deeper with it, with current events. And a quote from this article is privatizing access to natural resources and then selling it back to us mixed with delicious addictive poison is literally their business model. Oh, this is a different perspective on Coca-Cola, right? This isn't the fuzzy, cute polar bears that we see in their Christmas commercial every year. So it's definitely giving us food for thought. Go ahead and advance. So you can take this and have critical conversations about identity and power. You're making space for dialogue about race, identity, privilege, stereotypes, and systemic inequality. But you also are making it age appropriate for your classroom. You can ask whose voice is missing in this story. How would this feel from another point of view? Right? Both of those are getting right at that cultural comparison. Advance, please. So what do you think, your opinion? Did we make it to the core with our cultural exploration of Coca-Cola? Did we make it down to perceptions, attitudes, beliefs, values? I mean, I know you didn't read the actual articles and you didn't read the story, but Hope says yes, we made it there. Okay, advance, please. Did students recognize that cultures have both similarities and differences? How did they explore how perspectives influence behaviors and values? Did they compare their own cultural norms with those of the target culture? Did they reflect on their own assumptions, increasing cultural self-awareness? I think they did. I think they did with this activity. And Sue says she appreciated the demonstration of how we can go deeper. It makes so much sense. It does. It does take a little bit of time, but Voces has done so much of the work for you already that this is just a tiny bit of time. Like I literally spent 5 minutes on a search for this article in English. Advance, please. Let's try to do the same thing with Dia de los Muertos. Let's try to challenge stereotypes by uplifting lesser heard narratives. Advance, please. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do always is search Voces because seriously, we've done the work for you. It's there. I put in the search, which is just, if you see where that arrow is at the top of the screen, it's right at the top. Super easy to find in the new dashboard. If you haven't looked at how Voces is set up now at this whole new platform, you're going to love it even more than you loved it before. They did such a phenomenal job with this. It's super intuitive and super easy to use. So all I did was search Dia de los Muertos and up popped all 111 results from all of our titles, right? And it tells us what level they're in. There are 10 in Nuestra Historia 1, which is our stories-based title. There are 13 in Voces por el Mundo 2, Dos, which is our grammar-based title, right? We have so many choices for you to dig into Dia de los Muertos. Advance, please. Actually, go back to that a second. I have a question. Oh, Laura says, starting with Voces materials, it's easy to differentiate and go down the rabbit hole on topics. It is. And so differentiation, that's what I was just going to ask your question. How do you feel as teachers about giving level 2 or level 3 an article to read that was written for middle school or level 1? Cesar loves it. It's fine. You like it. Do you think it's a good idea? They don't need to know the level. You're right. You don't have to tell them what it's from. I think it matters what you do with it. You can do so many different activities with it to scaffold. Yep, it's good. You can level the task to go deeper. You can give them confidence. Absolutely. Yeah, in what that they have achieved, that when what they achieve, you absolutely can give them confidence. And that's kind of what I'm going for. If you're introducing a topic for the first time, why not choose something that is 1 or 2 levels lower than what they're currently acquiring in your class, right? It does build that confidence in them and enable them to take the risk on something that's maybe a little more challenging. Okay, go ahead and advance, Neil. So with Dia de los Muertos, we're looking at surfacing existing narratives. So we're looking at asking students questions about what do they already know about Dia de los Muertos. We then want to explore indigenous roots, where it came from, and then we want to highlight cultural diversity. So how is it celebrated in Oaxaca, Mexico versus in Los Angeles in the United States, right? Where we have where all over the country, we have large populations of Latinos celebrating. So after we've asked questions and we've surfaced what they know about it, what they already think about it, probably they know about the sugar skulls. Maybe they know about La Catrina. Maybe they think it's Halloween. Maybe they think it's just Mexican Halloween, right? Well, then we can explore the indigenous roots and we can teach them that Dia de los Muertos predates colonization. It stems from Aztec practices that honor the dead. When Mexico was colonized, then the ritual blended, the celebration blended with Catholic rituals. And we can also highlight indigenous languages like Nahuatl and the importance of the marigold, right? So bringing in lots of those indigenous roots, and then we can move to highlighting the cultural diversity. We can compare Dia de los Muertos to Halloween, or we can compare how it is in 2 different regions. Advance, please. That's an interesting line. This reframes it as resistance and resilience, not just a party, right? We're really good in the United States about taking someone else's celebration and making it a reason to drink beer, right? Think of St. Patrick's Day, especially in Chicago. Jacqueline says, I'm always surprised to find that our students don't know the background of Halloween, which makes it harder to compare without diving into that history lesson. Oh, that's a great one. Yeah, that's great to dive into. And then you can have a clearer comparison. Okay, advance, please. And Beatrice said she did the same with Cinco de Mayo. Yeah. So reflect and respond is what you're going to be doing next in your cultural unit. And you can have students journal or create a piece of art that answers what story is usually told about Dia de los Muertos. What's the story we're telling now? What story do I want to tell with my own traditions? Okay, advance, please. For our student outcomes, we're going for breaking the stereotype of Dia de los Muertos as a spooky holiday. because it's not spooky at all. We're going for uplifting Indigenous Mexican voices and cultural dignity. We're going for encouraging students to reflect on their own ways of honoring identity and memory. There we go. Maximizing cultural readings. Oh, I thought I had another, did we achieve our goal? So what do you think? Did we achieve our goal with Dia de los Muertos? Were students able to, what's my goal? Were students able to recognize that the cultures have both similarities and differences, and explore how cultural perspectives influence behavior and values, and compare their own cultural norms with those of the target culture? I think we did. Licinia says, this is mainly due to lack of information, so it is good to educate the students about perspectives and stereotypes. So yeah, there, did we make it to make it to the core with our cultural exploration? We did. Okay, advance and advance. I had those two slides in the wrong place. So remember that Voces, that should say already does so much of the work for you. So, and Jacqueline says there are so many layers to culture. There really are. It is difficult to choose which direction you want to go to. So in Nuestra Historia 2, I want to highlight a reading about El Camino a Machu Picchu. So the road to Machu Picchu, or the path. Next slide, please. And this is in Nuestra Historia 2, Unit 4, and it's called Buena Salud, Buena Vida. This is a story about a nurse from Iowa, and she works with Doctors Without Borders, and she does 2 weeks. She spends 2 weeks in an orphanage helping the children. And she compares in the story how they live to her life. So sometimes it's easier. Sometimes it's easier to have students see someone else make the comparison as an example before they have to make their own comparison with their own life. It helps give them the words, it helps give them the language to be able to express. So that's what I feel, how I use this particular cultural reading is to help students, to help students gain language in how to express themselves. So I circled Un Orfanato and Médicos Sin Fronteras. In the lessons leading up to this reading, students are already introduced. They already know these words and what they mean, and they have a good understanding of how to use them. So that work has already been done for you. What I did then was pull those out as my PQA, as my personalized question and answer to introduce the reading. So advance, please. How to introduce a cultural reading for advanced, more advanced students. And this is several things to click through. So go ahead, Neil. We're going to do PQA with essential vocabulary. That's the essential vocabulary from the story. And then go ahead. Some questions we can ask. What time do you wake up every day? Have you or someone you know had a surgery? What was the recovery like? Who do you know that works as a nurse? What is their specialty? Would you like to be a nurse? What do you do when you have a headache? My mom always said, drink a glass of water.
No,
You're
down.
dehydrated.
Down.
Oh, oops. Have you ever experienced altitude sickness? I have. It's not fun. It gives me a horrible, horrible headache. Oh, and Martha is recovering from surgery. So these are questions that she, can relate to in the moment with her students. Okay, advance, please. For more beginners or advanced, because they like to move to, do a four corners activity with sometimes, often or frequently, seldom, and never. Do you like to hike? Do you like to help others? Do you like to travel? Do you like to volunteer? Do you like working with a team to complete an important task? Do you like to drink tea? Do you like to explore? Okay. There we go. After a cultural reading, we have so many activities. We have listening comprehension. We have writing. We have a video. In this particular lesson, a video where students can watch and see what they understand. Oh, can you go back to the last slide for just a second, Neil? Sure. And it is very good practice for Gustar. But they don't have to produce it. They can just move to the corners. They just have to show that they understand. And we have presentational speaking. So you aren't going to have all of these every time. They're going to be thrown in at different times with different readings, but you will get the listening, the reading, the writing, the speaking. You will get all the modes in with all of our activities, not just our cultural readings. Advance, please. So more ideas for after a reading. Advance, please. What do I do with all the cultural readings I don't have time to get to? Because let's face it, there are so many in Voces. You could just do cultural readings as your curriculum. Honestly, there are so many. You can use them for free voluntary reading or sustained silent reading. Just print them out. You can have cultural reading circles where groups of students choose what they want to read about and they explore it together. You can use them as sub-plans because your students already know the vocabulary. You can create a gallery walk with cultural stations. You can have a choice board or a learning menu. You can use them as an assessment or a quiz. I often used culture as the culminating assessment in my unit or in my class because it used all the vocabulary that we were learning, and it was a different context, a brand new context, and it showed me what they were able to do with what they had acquired. If you need even more ideas, you can go to the hub, which you can find when you go back to your dashboard. And if you don't see it there immediately, you click on View All of your titles. We have graphic organizers. We have pictures and panoramas, extensions. We have games. When you go to the next slide, you'll see what happens when you just expand the pre-reading activities. This is just for pre-reading activities. All of these options are there. You could pick a different one, for every cultural reading that you do in the year, right? How many are there? 15 or more? I didn't count. That was just an estimate. Sue wants to know if anyone has a good podcast video demonstration of an effective gallery walk. I've heard of them, but haven't had enough info to know how to implement. If anyone has that resource and can pop that in, doing a gallery walk could be a session all on its own. There are so many different ways and so many different things that you can do with gallery walks. So yeah. Do they have the same readings in the Nuestra Historia titles? Do you mean the pre-reading activities, Sandra?
The cultural readings.
Oh, so these are pulled from, yes, they do.
Okay, because I looked through and they look different, but maybe, yeah.
At
So
the
they
very
do have
end,
the same?
yeah, at the very end, I'll pull up my screen and show you where you can find them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Next slide, please. Oh, that was it. We are at the very end. So let me pull up my screen. I'm gonna share screen again. I'm gonna pull up Voces. And I'm sorry if it gets slow, but this is what your dashboard looks like, right? Here's the search button that I talked about, and you enter your search term. And that is where I entered Machu Picchu. And that's also where I entered Dia de los Muertos. The most recent books you have been in, the most recent titles you've been in are here. If you need more titles, you just go to view all. And you wanted to know the Nuestra Historia series. So I'll just pick 2 as an example. And this is where it might get slow with my internet. So here's the directory. On the left-hand side, it's a square and has a circle with the 3 lines. Without having anything expanded, you can see all the different units. And I'm going to open Buena Salud, Buena Vida. And go to Extra Extra. And we have Notas Culturales. And with this chapter, with this unit, we have 3. We also have Investigación Cultural. Let's pull up. Comida Callejera Peruana, and it is not loading properly because of my internet, I believe. Yeah, is prohibiting us from going there. But that is where you find them. Go to stop share.
Thank you. Yeah, I see now. I think I have access to the other titles. I just noticed that the Nuestra Historia did not have as many cultural readings on the chapters as the grammar based, but I guess doesn't matter where I'm pulling it from if I have access to I think I have access to all the titles with my account. So
yeah,
even
and
if
you
I'm
can
not
pull them over.
primarily. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Someone mentioned the Claudia Elliott podcast, Growing with Proficiency. That's great. Chris found the error if you were having issues with the search from the dashboard. You'll need to give it 10-ish minutes so that it pushes it out for the fix. You can ask for access to the new books. Yes, you get access to all of our books. Claudia Elliott also has a blog. Aaron found a gallery walk on YouTube. And Google Gallery Walk Explained. That's good. The Google has so much good information. It also has not so good information sometimes, but for things like this, it's really good. Okay. Any other questions? Any dying questions that I can answer for you? Burning questions about how to teach culture, or comments?